Hello and welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark, and this is the Winners Find a Way show. I am the author of Leading Winning Teams, and I'm excited about the book launch we've had all fall. I am the CEO of Leadershipity, a serial entrepreneur at heart, entrepreneur organization. I'm repping today with my entrepreneur organization shirt today. I've been a member there 13 years. Most people know me because I spent over 13 years professional baseball coaching in 3 World Series. It's a holiday edition, everybody. I'm excited to welcome my good friend, Vincent Lanci. Vincent, what's up, buddy?
Trent, always good to spend some time together. Thank you for having me on the holiday edition.
Oh man, like come on, it's Christmas time. I don't know if there's anything better. I'm up at the holiday house, like up north, right? So I'm enjoying that. And today, special edition, we're really talking about, right? Books, breakthroughs, big ideas. Vince is an absolute dreamer, and I love this about him, but he's a man who dreams and executes. He does both. He stays on his goals, he stays on his focus. He's created a lot of brand recognition around multiple podcasts. He now has his newest book up. Show us your newest book, man.
Yeah,
Is this your third or fourth book?
This is, I think, technically 8.
Wow.
I've got 6 on Amazon, but 2 co-author books, so they're not under my Amazon page. And then this year, ghostwriting, I'm finishing up my 7th and 8th books for other people. So my name's not on those, but I'm co-authoring one with a fellow on the Red Sox. I just can't announce it yet, but that's coming real soon.
Red Sox? Like, wait a minute. The New York boys co-authoring something with a Red Sox? All right.
I'm gonna let that I explained to them.
Yeah, we're gonna let that Yankee thing go for a second. All right. We're gonna just see how it goes. New York guy, I don't know. But man, you're gonna catch my good friend Michael Levine. Levine's got over 1,000 books he's been involved with ghostwriting. I mean, it's just amazing. Like, it's crazy. He's extraordinary. Been out there obviously a lot of years, but yeah, you've written just some fabulous things since you and I've been involved. Left for Dead was, obviously a big breakthrough book talking about your kind of testimony of your life, of what happened in your life as a college age student, walking home from a bar late at night, hit and run accident, terrible TBI, and rehabilitating from the beginning of like starting again as a toddler to reaching that adult status again. And so, man, major challenge. You overcome that, got very involved in the mental health. I love Mr. Lanci. You got everything about, what's your book there? Can you hold that one up?
I absolutely can. Thank you for having me on again, Trent, and the kind words throughout the introduction. That was very nice.
So Mr. Lanci's his health book. And then, of course, this new one, I Want to Start a Podcast. Vince has been instrumental in my podcast, not only helping me as a guest get going and everything there, but from the standpoint of really learning how to market. What do you do with your podcast? How do you capitalize on what you're doing out in their audience? Getting engaged and talking with your audience, so important. And so, man, you have been instrumental. So now you've built a business around, wow, you hear, and you and I hear this all the time. Like, oh my gosh, you guys got a podcast? I want to start a podcast, right? And so I was like, hey, how do you do it? Boom. This is the answer.
Well, you're too kind again. And that's what the motivation was for this 18 months ago, maybe 19 months ago. I'm still working hospitality part-time, trying to make ends meet. School speaking, tough with budgets and a lot of other variables. Couldn't give up, have to pivot a little more. Got a ghostwriting opportunity. Then that soon came to some podcasting advice from people. So I started putting it all together. And now from barely paying rent that distance, now we've got 16 team members, fantastic board with someone right here that's played an integral part of the business growth. But the real underlying factor with the book is I realized everyone likes to perceive and learn information differently. I've got Pod O'Clock, the podcast. Now we have I Want to Start a Podcast, the book. I've got courses on there. And now, of course, my company from, you see, Left for Dead Incorporated. We now have Coming Alive podcast production where some people want that extra push. They want some service. So I try to get every single point.
I love it, man. I think this is what you're really doing. You're really taking a holistic approach from A to Z. Welcoming in my friend here, our friend, Christina Lecce. Christina asked a great question, right? She's going to get the book. She wants to get podcasting started. Now she says, hey, I need to separate from the crowd. You and I both know, like, we both have pretty highly regarded podcasts. I'm a top 2% now with 100,000 downloads a month, right? That is rare air. And I am so thankful for that. The people, the audience, everybody comes in because we have great people like Vince. It's not because of Trent Clark, I'll tell you that. So like, let's we get that focus on it to help people continue to create value. Yeah. And man, do you know the number on how many podcasts are out there?
I was writing this book. I tried to get all the basics, the starters. So I was doing research. You see 4 to 5 million, but out of that 4 to 5 million, how many have done over 10 episodes? Yes, just 10. 10% of them maybe have done that. And then
it's staggering, right? It's staggering that it's because what you find out when you start is that it's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work. It's time, it's effort, and you're trying to be very efficient. This is why you hire a guy like Vincent Lanci to take care of you, because you want to be as efficient as possible, because everybody's got a day job when you start a podcast. And, maybe you'll be syndicated. Maybe you'll go on to this and you'll be great. You'll be, the next, Hermosi, whoever, right? There's a lot of people who have gained a lot. Christina asked a great question, right? I'm trying to stand out and not be similar to another podcast. And what is your advice, Vince, on staying out of the box in podcasting?
I think it's all coming down to just being authentic, and it might sound silly, but a good shout out to my friend Jerry. People are a great authenticity sniffer. He gave me that line, and it's true. If you're podcasting about something you're not an expert in or don't have value to add to ultimately make a difference in someone's lives, people won't tune in. But I do challenge people to be patient and network with people like Trent to get tips, because my first 5-6 months, I remember getting 1, 2, 3 downloads a show, and a week goes by. I'm like, so I got 20 downloads this month? Great. And then you get 25, 30, a whole month. You're getting 1 click a day, not just for one episode, but in order to get past those 10 episodes that majority, 90%-ish don't get to, you have to just do it on something you like and you can add value to, because Trent alluded to the workload that comes with this. It was a full-time unpaid job for me for a long time, but if I didn't truly love learning from other entrepreneurs and inspiring entrepreneurs with that entrepreneur show, and then I really only had a mental health break after my traumatic brain injury, I was passionate about having my own form of therapy, speaking with other advocates and professionals in a non-doctoral setting, I guess you can say. And then the feedback you get in, it's just, that's what makes it worth it. Even those few clicks, you get someone that says, hey, Vince, I heard Trent's episode and I learned XYZ. That makes me want to go out there and put the next one. And we just celebrated 5 years of weekly shows, man, a week or two ago.
Yeah, that's a big deal, right? That's 60 months at 52 weeks. That is no joke. Yeah. You're up well into the 300s. And so that's a big deal. And you see like the podcast, and we talked about, you did a nice little shout out. Oh, quick shout out to you, Vince. Christina got your book, Merry Christmas. She's going to get that before the holidays. So way to go, Christina. Man. Yeah. So, we talked about this, and you kind of put a little blip up today of one of our episodes on Pot O'Clock. And, right. And we talked about Rogan, right? Like, and I remember, man, like, I don't know how many years ago, if it was 10 now, that they paid Rogan $100 million, right? And I was like, dude, what are you talking about? That looks like a steal of the deal now. That looks like they got him on the cheap, because like, you're like, wait a minute. They gave that dude $100 million. The value he's created, and maybe you could chalk it up to COVID or whatever, but one of the things we talked about on Pot O'Clock is, man, he asks impactful questions, right? He's very well prepared. He has a great team around him, and it's a small team. It's not this big thing. A lot of people think Joe Rogan's got, 20 production people. He does not. It's like a 3-4 person team. And he's very efficient. Obviously, he has great guests, but he has done the prep work. He is ready with like some really hard questions, and they dig deep. The other thing that he's very good about is, I recommend everybody to read like Never Split the Difference with Chris Voss. like negotiator tactics, asking impactful questions. Because if you're going to be a good host, you're going to be leading people on, hey, how's this going to go? How am I going to get into this? How am I going to do this really well? You've got to be able to look at that and say, hey, I got to draw the best out of this. And I've got 45 minutes or 35 minutes to do it with advertising. Like, it's pretty quick. And you're looking for those nuggets that everybody goes away and says, like, wow, I just had the most authentic listen with these two folks talking about the real stuff. I mean, Christina has it. Being real on it is a big deal. So let's talk about you. For people who don't know you, the authenticity of this is Left 4 Dead Productions is because you did go through this traumatic thing in your life, and you've come out of this to serve others. Walk us through quickly in like 90 seconds. Tell people what happened real quick and the outlook now in your life because of that event.
Oh, I'm happy to. I always want to connect further with people. So if you like anything I'm saying and you want to connect further, please stick around to the end. I'll tell you how to get in touch with me. But I traded my...
Wait. We're not waiting to the end. Tell them right now. Tell them right now how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, go on my calendly.com/Vincent Lanci. That's just the direct way to get me. LinkedIn, I'm on most. The other social media platforms, check DMs from time to time or posts. But I appreciate that, Trent. I didn't want to take away time from your show. But when it comes to podcasting, it all came back from going to Tampa from New York, traded snowflakes for palm trees, was tired of the cold. A few days before my last semester as an undergraduate, hyper-focused on my finance degree. I was at Merrill Lynch, PwC. Friends went out to celebrate a friend's birthday. People were drinking and driving. People were doing whatever they want. I didn't get in the car. I walked home because I lived close. I could say I throw a football to where my house would have been. I was hit by a car who left a bar as I was finishing crossing the road, left me for dead in the middle of the night. Coincidentally, a police checkpoint area saw the whole thing, said I went as high as in the air as a basketball hoop, landed on my face. If you ever go to my pages, you'll see I had a purple face. Coma a week later, I woke up, relearned to walk and talk, didn't know what school I went to. But of course, then the dark days, the discipline that I found in myself to not let someone else's poor decision ruin my life forever certainly carried over to entrepreneurship and my dedication, starting with sports, as Trent and I talk about on past shows. But now, no more did I want that corner office, that job title. I wanted to share my story. But entrepreneurs who may be viewing or listening on, it's hard to take that 1 foot in, 1 foot out, making cash, getting a paycheck, to doing your own thing. I had to teach English online to kids in Beijing, 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. They're 12 hours ahead. And you still need to make some kind of money for bills. I was getting $10 a class because I hit my bonuses. After that, I would do carpentry helper, be a helper somewhere. And then I'd be a busboy or an expo at, shout out to Sasha, at the Whale's Tail when I went with my grandma down here with Ocean Prime. I was now a 28, 29-year-old MBA grad starting over as a busboy. Having the humility and finally realizing that if I want my dreams to come true, which they're starting to today, this is years ago, I had to sacrifice the 9 to 5, the corporate life, the secure paycheck, which would have been nice with a finance and an MBA degree. But everybody values success differently. I learned that money alone wasn't going to do it for me. So I started doing my own thing, wrote Left 4 Dead we talked about. That was 2019. Started that entrepreneur show in 2020. And then now here we are. I've got a bunch of shows. We talked about Pod O'Clock. I spoke about the other ones. Writing with Authors, a YouTube series just to talk with authors. Trent's been on all of my shows. And then Coming Alive podcast production, leading a lot of great shows right now. Honored to play a very small role because, and I'll shout out this other book if you don't mind, Trent. I had my computer go down last week. Worst time ever, screen's all puzzled. Read this book and it said something really great. Obviously, it's helping me build out my sales team, my last 3 hires. It says, hey, I wanted to fix something around the house, the sink and whatever. It took 8 hours. I didn't get it done. You break down how much are you worth per hour, right? How much time am I going to, how much money am I not going to earn and waste because I wasted a day trying to fix the sink? When a professional comes for just 1 hour, I pay him the $150, $100, And then if you break down your productive hours per day times how much you make, it's way more than that. I lost money trying to fix my sink. So all these little revelations, it goes with podcasting. You don't have to use me, but I challenge you, don't half-ass it, right? Go out there and really give it your all. And if you can't, I was a solopreneur with no budget. I failed every step of the way, 500 episodes. So I put it in a book with activities and, from logo to name to each part of my 8-step process. I break it down because it's not as easy as people think, but if, like anything, you dedicate yourself to it with or without help, you're going to be great.
Love it. And I think I was fortunate, man. I mean, a lot of people have come to me and asked me about, writing a book. And this has been happening for years. And I was like, man, winners find a way. I was like, I got to do it sometime. Now, I was blessed through the podcast that Vince, again, helped me produce. I get a call from Wiley Publishing, from one of their what they call acquisition editors. And they're like, listen, we want to do your book. This is incredible. We love the show, like, awesome. Like, this is great. Now I'm thinking, I'm going to agree to this contract and I'm going to have to actually write this book. Like, everyone's been talking about it. It's been swirling around in the brain for years. And I'm thinking, like, this is going to be relatively easy for me because I've spoke on, stages in 17 countries. I've told these stories. I just need to put them on paper now. Man, Vince, I got to tell you, I underestimated the workload. I was like, wow, it was much more than I expected. And Wiley was great, holding my hand all the way through. They just did fabulous job. They're doing most of, cover art and all this. My actual daughter-in-law did the pictures of all the rings, which is pretty cool. So I got my daughter-in-law, who's a professional photographer. She's in there. So shout out to, Marissa Clark and her program. And so that is going on all the time. Like, little things are there. There are opportunities everywhere. It's, do we have the radar up to see them? Do we have that? Are we positioning for the opportunities? And I see this all the time saying, hey, you know what, Vince? I really want this opportunity. Great. It's kind of like that old parable, like, hey, you want to grow corn. Well, are you ready to prepare the fields, plant the seed? Well, no, I don't want to do that. I just want a lot of corn. Man, you've gotta sow, right? You gotta sow the fields. You gotta be positioned for the harvest. And that's a huge part of podcasting, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's a journey that has led me, like you said, to a career. You wouldn't expect that, but I'll put this simply: a book or a podcast, it's the best form of a business card you did not know you needed. You can invite someone from anywhere on the globe to come on your show. You just meet someone in public and you have a great chat. Maybe they want to be a potential client. Hey, let me send you a book. Learn about me first, right? All these little things. And the authoritative figure is what a lot of people want from writing and podcasting. Some want a new hobby. Some want to just advance their personal life, whatever it may be. Having conversations helps so many more people than you think. I didn't realize it till I started speaking with my traumatic brain injury, helping people in that way, sharing my story a little more, getting messages from strangers, a lot more than people you're friends with, especially in entrepreneurship. You'll get support from people that you can't even believe you're making a difference to.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk. I got another good question here. Again, Christina kind of weighed in on this. Like, a lot of the big podcasters are now they're getting big contracts and they're getting into bigger mediums, right? So you see that, and there's some people who are on the small who are fabulous podcasters, right? They are great interviewers. They have fabulous guests. It's right hitting dead central on the target, and they're getting an audience of a couple hundred. And those 100, by the way, those couple hundred people are so thankful because they're like, this is like just speaking into exactly what I need. So don't think because you're not on Spotify on $100 million contract, Joe Rogan, that you're not having impact with people, because they are. Now, my challenge to that, from my pro tip on this, is you got to get engaged with the audience. Like, more engagement in the audience, more people as advocates of your program, going out there, speaking to it, giving chances for your audience to get to know each other and expand, because we're tribal, right? We're very people like, wow, I've got this challenge and so do you. Hey, come on over and let's spend some time talking about our challenge. I think it's why I love EO so much, Vince, is that we're all founders trying to navigate this world, and it changes, like, by the minute, right? We're always in this entrepreneurial world. It's like hyper learning 101. And so when you have to do it, you're like, man, I want to be around people who have to face those same challenges and work on those solutions and what they did. And I get better because I listen to what they're doing. I find out what they're doing, and I get a ton of value from just the network and just being present. What's your pro tip on being overlooked in like a smaller platform?
My whole life. I mean, look at me. It's the whole professional career. And you got to realize I didn't get a podcast sponsor for like 2.5, 3 years. And I'm not talking Joe Rogan money, right? Just something that, and shout out to Tampa Counseling and Wellness, took a shot with me on a mental health break, had Cesar Cervantes, TEDx coach on that entrepreneur show. But all of these things take time. I really did get 1 or 2 listens for a really long time. I'm not the biggest social media guy. Yes, I'm there. But the way social media went about with salesy this, and it just wasn't for me. So I just kept doing my thing, being authentic. And eventually people started listening. People started caring. So you won't be able to get there, though, unless it's something, again, you're authentic speaking about, you're passionate about. But if you're dropping comments maybe in other similar Instagram pages or Facebook pages, LinkedIn, hey, new episode now. That's great. I leverage a newsletter. If you have my newsletter list, it's free. Trent's in there too, where every week I do a weekly podcast blog because I have a few shows. Let them know my shows for the week, the link. And then I do one on all the clients and board and everybody too, where check out their shows. Newsletters are a great, great tool. You can do them yourself. A popular one's MailChimp. I do it through Go High Level. You can do it through there. Just being present in places and, of course, guesting on great shows like Trent's. It's not just about being a host. You got to put yourself on other shows because your audience knows what you do. They support you or they don't. No hard feelings. They may not be your target, but you go on a show like me on Trent's. These are all people who are in a similar world as me, who will care what I have to say and hopefully forge a meaningful relationship or two.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you look at that, as you go through that and you look at all the stuff that's going on and you realize all these folks, who knows who has a need for this today in the audience, over the next, 3 to 5 weeks, this episode itself will be downloaded probably 25,000 times. So, then of course there's, let's say 10%, 2,500 people have gone, man, I've considered a podcast. What do I want to do with that? And this audience is going to go like, wow, Vince sounds like a guy, and he is, who has a expertise in this, has been through the ringer, has been all through it, and seen the good and the bad and the challenges, and has learned from all of it, right? And I think that's the real key. So when you're going through with people and you're choosing who do you want to spend time with, that's a big deal. I think the other side of these networks, it's interesting because you see it's changing. Who's the big guy? Golly, I can't think of his name. The guy who left Fox and just started his YouTube and like his podcast.
Is it Tucker? No,
Tucker. Yeah, Tucker Carlson. I mean, Tucker Carlson is all like, he doesn't need a network. Like all of a sudden, he was a network guy. He was now. Tucker Carlson's doing it exactly the way he wants to do it, how he sees fit. He no longer is bound by the big corporation. Mm-hmm. And my guess is he may make less money now. I don't know, but I don't think he cares. I think he's doing fine. Based on I've seen his numbers, right? He's doing fine. Okay. And so I guess that's part of my decision, with where I want to be with my authentic work that I go. Like our company brings in, X amount of money. Like, oh, don't you want to be a $300 million organization? Like, I don't know that. I don't know that being bigger and all these things and addressing all the challenges. I love what I do. And if all of a sudden I was that and I didn't get to love what I do anymore, would that be worth it? Like everyone goes, oh, now you've got all the big money and you've got the big contracts. And okay. But at the end of the day, I know why I started to do my work with people and how I was connecting with those that wanted to work authentically with us about doubling their value in their organizations, because that's what we do, right? We really just come in and help you build a winning team and sustainable forever. And so, when that's our goal, and I think we get lost. We start running away from that. Vince, tell me what you've seen.
Well, it's easy to get lost and it's easy to run away. I mean, when something takes a lot of time and dedication and focus, the easy thing to do is to put it off. But I can't speak for everyone else. Things that work for me, at least, is before bed every day, I time block. You see now I got numbers next to each thing, all my calls, meetings, every minute's accounted for. The work will constrict to that time, get more done. If I need to edit a show, I mean, granted, I'm not too much on that side of the things anymore because I'm lucky enough to have grown a team. But I mean, you've got to set time aside for it. For me, it's visual. I need a time block. It's see it. Good, check. You put that check next to it for momentum. Otherwise, I mean, more than the majority is a podcast that's up there with less than 10 shows, not a consistently released show. Pod O'Clock even. All the names like, I want to start a podcast, how to start a podcast. Someone made them and did a few shows and that was it. So even though I could have, it's dead, I wanted to do my own thing. So it's Pod O'Clock. What time is it? Hopefully your new favorite time of the week. That's on all the podcast platforms too. But I hope you see my smile and enthusiasm as I talk about this stuff, because to get your podcast there, you got to sound like Trent does, talking about his work, like I do, talking about mine. My goal is to help everyone recognize they have a voice and they have a story, and it is worthwhile to share, because even though, and one of the comments earlier, I'm not big on social media. I have a solid following, but I'm not in the millions or hundreds of thousands or anything. You just have to be patient and continue to challenge yourself. Don't worry if you have an off week. Right now it's the holidays. Annually, these weeks for me starting in December are a little lower. I've seen it over 5 years. It's every single year. I'm not mad at myself. I still have awesome guests, but people got other stuff to do right now. I got to be understanding of that. So just eye on the prize, I would say.
That's good. Now you've talked about, I'm going to tell you, hey, quick shout out to the Oak Journal. You're a time blocking guy. Oak Journal, highly recommend that. For folks out there, I use it. Get out there, grab it. You can get 25% off holidays. I tend to buy the 4-pack, and I buy my 4 quarters of Oak Journals all in advance. Each book is a quarter every day during the quarter, doing your time, doing your organization. Game changing Oak Journal, and use the code WFAW. Winners find a way. WFAW on the Oak Journal, and you can get that's a great Christmas gift. By the way, like I give that gift a lot for people who are like, man, I'm having a tough time blocking my time, getting organized. Vince, don't understand that discipline of putting your head down every day and grinding and getting at it and being focused, because man, I do it too. I know people think like I don't have challenges with discipline. Like I have challenges with discipline all the time. Like I'll start scrolling and be like, oh my gosh, I just spent like 27 minutes looking at memes, man. What am I doing? Like this is crazy. And I'm entertained, and I'm like thinking like, wow, that is a serious execution dump I just lost right there, right? So go to oakjournal.com, check that out. Use the code Winners Find a Way, and we'll get you 25% off that. I buy those gifts annually. Love that. You talked about, some of the marketing, right? And you've used Go High Level, which is good platform. There's a number of good platforms out there. That's a really strong one in the marketing area right now. Do you have tools in the book about how to bridge the gap in your website to make sure that episodes are coming up, that you're keeping relevant to, hey, here's the most recent stuff we've been doing. Here's recent people on the show. Click to go to Spotify, Apple, all your favorite podcast group. And because, when you get to Vince and I, we've got hundreds of episodes out there now with fabulous people, and people go, oh man, I'd love to hear that episode from, and you're like, whoa, that was 2021. Hold on. Like that's episode 17, on that platform. And you're like, that's awesome. That's not going to be on the front of the website, because the website's going to get more recency, because you got to stay relevant now. And so talk a little bit about some effectiveness you've seen that on the Go High Level.
Oh, to be all transparent, this is week 2 there. As a solopreneur, I started out building all my stuff, no money to outsource. I started with Wix. Customer service just went really, really bad for me. They had to go. Was still broke. Ended up getting WordPress for just the main page, which is fine. Started making a little cash. I invested in Kajabi, which has the courses, and it's very custom software, but it's $199 a month to where Go High Level. I'm recently over there. It's $97 a month, and they have a phone number you can call from the platform, text. So it really helps me build my sales team out, because the goal is to help a lot of people start a podcast. They have these widgets that we're starting to add. We'll have there, but to get the past episodes, I haven't found like a change the order feature. But what you could do, and we're starting to do this for the new year, is rescheduling past episodes on our social media channels. So we'll have, like your episode, for example, we'll schedule it once in January, once again in April, once again in October, and then at the end of the year. The ones that have a lot of listens, people really got a lot of value from. So let's keep sharing that, keep getting it out there. But that's kind of an unorthodox tip, I guess, to go out and schedule it.
Well, I think the other thing that's nice about when you look at like our YouTube channels are a big deal, because when you go into YouTube, it's easier to search. You have searchable items. Your website's not as searchable for stuff like this in the podcast. You have your other businesses. And so one of the key elements of like YouTube is like when you dive in there, they can now get visibility on the top 27 shows that have been there, like at the top 10. And then they look at that and go, hey, what lands for me, or what person do I know have some interest in, some familiarity, and would like to learn more? I'm listening to a lot of Chris Voss right now, which is, he's the negotiator. I like a couple different people, a couple different voices that are really good in the market. And 10X is easier than 2X is a great book, and they've got a lot of content out of there with the coaching program out of Toronto. And so I've just seen, it's lifelong learning, right, Vince? I mean, you're constantly shaping and looking for people in your tribe that who can help.
Never ending learning. I mean, I'd be in school forever if it were free, but got to be selective of what you're learning, what you're spending time on. You mentioned the social media thing. That's a real challenge. We live in this age where we got this cool thing in our hand at all times, and let's take a break here. I mean, I'm unorthodox, and some of my buddies have given me crap back in the past where I'm on do not disturb the entire workday. I have social media timers, and of course you can override them, but eventually you have to build that discipline, right? Where, okay, I'm on to post, I'm on to check messages. You don't get as much love from other people if you're not mutually supporting, and I get that, but on the algorithm, I log on, show love to whatever's there, search for the people that are always supporting my posts, because it's important to also make sure that if people are commenting and liking your stuff, not many people leave comments. So make sure you're going back, leaving a comment or two on their page, and then go ahead and post. I don't know. I'm off the phone. I'm not really in the right generation in some aspects where my phone's away from me most of the whole day. It's in the car. I don't even realize it, because if I'm working, I'm on the computer. And I mean, working from home, having the home office, tons of distractions there. Can't I just sit down, watch a movie, put my feet up? But no, that's not on the whiteboard for the day.
Yep.
That's not there for the day. I take my breaks. The breaks are scheduled out. You probably do the same thing, my meals, whatever. But it's just getting started. The learning is only going to have to continue, Trent. Going to have to keep conversations with you and other like-minded people and great people who support your shows, because we can learn something from every person we talk to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's critical. I've seen so many leaders now who have expressed like an area to think, right? And that means you got to get technology out. And a lot of my clients have like these whiteboard offices. They're cool walls, but you can just write on them, right?
Yeah,
like you just everything, like the whole thing's a written out deal. And they'll have stuff from the leadership team that they're constantly focused on updating through that. Obviously, there's a lot of digital tools, and we have a good digital tool, right, in Bloom and Bloom's growth software. But, not everybody, being tied to all the media, all the digital, all the time gets very unproductive, right? It's a very easy time suck that can help lose your efficiency and your execution. So Christina poses a pretty good question here. Growing your social media, using your tools from social media and YouTube to grow your podcast. Christina's already got a great medium. She owns 10 Texas radio station, massive online. I think probably one of the largest country online radio stations in the country. It's amazing. I'm sure she was highly involved in another NFR down in Las Vegas this year, and which is just a massive event. And the National Finals Rodeo for that. And Christina has that, broad base of followership for a long time. And that online radio website is a lot of work to keep updated. So, for Christina, I believe you probably already have the tools to funnel people to a specific podcast. The critical element for the marriage to me, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, Vince, is now marrying what the audience wants with what you authentically want to bring them, and make sure that those things are aligned. Like if 10 Texas Radio, which is a country music station, and it's everything country, Christina's locked in. She's got a touring travel company. She's amazing. You've got this business, and then you go, oh, we're doing exporting from Japan to Korea. Like, no one cares on that platform about exporting from Japan to Korea in all the country radio station folks, right? So it has to be aligned. It has to be a good bolt-on. It has to make sense. Is that fair, Vince?
I 100% agree. It seems like you've got a much bigger platform than I ever did when I started a podcast. So I think you're in good hands. And in the book, I appreciate you so much for grabbing a copy. I would love to hear what you think and take a picture so I could share your support. But you have to realize I had a bad situation happen to me, which was terrible. I had a book, which is good, but there's a lot of people who have bad things happen to them in a book. I was a 25-year-old MBA grad, no network like you have built. So you will automatically have a huge leg up on many people because of your existing brand and reach. If I was successful in something else and started a podcast, you have that reach. Trent, all-star in many areas of life, he's got this big following that's helping these numbers continue to grow and grow, right? So you should not be too hard on yourself would be my advice for you, because from what I'm seeing here, you've got everything you need to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, and 10 Texas Radio is a big internet platform. So, Christine, I think you feel like you've already mastered the internet a little bit on the web. The social media is a challenge, right? Because now it's leave my website, check out my YouTube, check out my this, and I'm always challenged with that when you kick people off your platform to go do something else, right? And so that becomes a little bit of an edgy deal for me. And so I feel like there's a real opportunity for your social to land for your specific media, Christina, where you have everyone funneled to that site where they can now go to the podcast, buy merchandise and goods, and keep the business flowing all within the website. And your socials just directing to one place and being so critical of that. And I think a lot of people would like to get there. And the other thing is, like, you own 10 Texas Radio. You own that. And Vince owns like Left 4 Dead. Like, he owns that on the internet. Like, if you were Left 4 Dead, like, you were going to find Vincent Lanci. And so he'll move into owning all this stuff. I own Winners Find a Way, and I own Leadershipity, right? I own these terms in the World Wide Web. So people come up with those terms and they hear it anyway, they're going to get to my name very quickly. And so having that and knowing what you are and what you aren't is a really big deal. Vince, you want to expound on that?
I mean, I can't say it any better than you just did. It's something where you have to show up as far as social media. You have two different perspectives you'll get from people. Social media is number one and most important thing, or someone like me where there are other, and in the book, you'll find a lot of other supplemental things you can do to be a full system. For example, you're not just going to sell on the phone. You're going to email, you're going to text, you're going to do social media. There's a whole system involved. And especially if there's any younger entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs on a budget, social media management and production is a huge cost. You do your networking. I tell all my clients we are not a social media company. A lot of them know that we make good content, so they want us to do it, but there's that growth side. How do you actually grow and hack? And me personally, I've worked with maybe 20, 30 freelancers in my life. Only one time has someone not tried to take advantage of me. I've tried in every field, from formatting my book to doing a website. All of these things, they don't care about a relationship. They care about just the money. So when I've tried to work with social media growth companies, the most recent one was a LinkedIn growth one, maybe about 6 months ago. I made the payment. I stopped getting answers from people. No answers on LinkedIn, no answers in the WhatsApp chat, all of these things. So I'm sorry I don't have a real resource to give you, but I'd rather have 10 or 100, sometimes whatever, 1,000 people like or comment something who are actually caring about what I do than a bot that's just going to give me 100 likes, right?
Yeah.
Because then they're not going to be a potential friend, client, relationship. Something good can come out of every podcast. If there's 10 people here, there are 10 people who care about what Trent is doing, his mission, his goals. They read something about me. They may want to hear what I have to say. So keep that in mind. Like me, when the 2 or 3 downloads, it didn't beat me up, because I think there were people who actually wanted to hear what we have to say and grow their business.
Yeah, I think another 2 things that I think are really important when you're starting out. One is AI. Like, AI is a new tool. We
That was
recently,
before me when I started. I didn't have any of that.
I know, right? Like, we didn't have any of that stuff, and a lot of people comment on how much my content. Oh, how great you're! That's awesome. Love that. Like, we're very thoughtful to stay with the message inside the messages of the book and what we stand for, what our values are, and we stay in that lane. Like, we're not going to be someone disingenuous to our audience, but we use a ton of AI to create. And we've got Nissa on today. Like, she's just in the background here. She is our podcast manager. She's done this for me for over 3 years. She's an offshore asset to me in the United States. It's very affordable for us to do it. It's an investment we make in her and her family because she's a part of our team. And it's a massive hit for us and takes like hours of loads off of us when we don't have it. And what I love, this is in the Philippines. And so this is doing a lot of overnight work while we're sleeping. We go in and we assign stuff in the mornings or the late evenings, and we talk quickly. And then I go to work in my day while she's sleeping, and when we're formulating things, and Vince and I are putting content together about promoting our show and promoting what we're doing and this and that. And then she's putting all that in the background, pumping it into our world and managing how we get our podcast done. So you're going to want to call someone like Nissa. Nissa, you should probably get your prop up there too about how people reach out to you if they want a podcast manager at a very affordable rate on a geo arbitrage US dollars to international dollar, which is often very good. You're going to want to think about that. The other shout out I'll give is, we went through Ethan King's how to double your business through ChatGPT in 90 days. And he lists about 10 to 12 key AI elements. And obviously, half of them are directly related to marketing in some way. And so one of the biggest tools I did is he has a walkthrough in the beginning of that of how to set your ChatGPT up. So you feed it your resume, you feed it things you've written, you feed it videos you've done, and then this thing learns exactly how to sound like you. So you're like, hey, can you write a nice letter to Vince and thanks for coming on my show? I write 2 sentences. I kick out a great thing that's personalized. It's got history with Vince and I because it's seen the history, and everything comes in. It takes me about 30 seconds. I pump out an email. What used to be a 30-minute follow-up thank you is now about a 3-minute follow-up thank you to get organized and get done. And the efficiency of that as a young podcaster starting out and using some AI tools, you will eventually need more people. You will need more people. And Vince, we've run into this, right? Where we get too automated, too impersonal, and that can bite us a little bit. Is that fair?
Of course, and I will piggyback off the Philippines work. Shout out to Danica, been with me almost 2 years now, and people have different things to say. Everybody I've ever worked with in the Philippines, I got a good team there. Dedicated, hardworking, appreciative for their job, and just as effective, if not more than an American hire I've had. I have Danica running that side, and then Julie here in the States running my head of operations now for the podcast production company. but you need to build a team, and you highlighted that so beautifully, shouting out your podcast manager as well. There's systems in place you can build. Those of you who bought my book today are already going to learn my system. You said it great there, Trent.
Yeah. And I think that when you get someone who's really done this, like Nissa or a Danica, they've got 8 to 10 tools that they're going to invest in for you. And that may cost you another, $99 or $199 a month of tools. But, you're going to get thousands of dollars of value out of that. The ROI of that is that I don't have to hire someone for $2,500 a month to be part-time on this and wonder if they're going to show up, meet the deadlines, this and that. It's done for you. It's their job. I mean, this is a big deal that you've got to have someone in your corner that supports you like this and helps you grow. Now, I want to pivot to the ultimate to me on a podcast. For me, and this isn't everybody, but for me, Vincent, it's been connecting with the audience and growing my company, growing our impact on the world through our clients. That's what's important to us. So one of the key things I see a lot of people miss is making it really easy for your audience to connect with you, get engaged, and learn more about working together, because that is I think a lot of things that people miss. They just, hey, here's a bunch of valuable information, and they throw up. They show up and throw up. And then you're like, okay, I'd like to know more. Where do I get more? And nothing. Have you seen this?
It's probably more common than actually done, because we're so invested in the process doing all these things and overlook something so simple. A tool that, or a tip I could say I shared and I didn't learn until way too late. Do you have a domain for your website? Do you have it where someone types in vincentlanci.com, they find it? For me, I use Buzzsprout. I know you use Libsyn, I think, right? Where it's, yes, say it's vinshow.buzzsprout.com. Not many people are going to want to type that long or remember that long name. So vinshow.com. Do this before you start a show. Go on social media, search for all the handles so you can be consistent. I wasn't consistent on mine. Lost opportunities. They're too far now to start over. Make sure the website's consistent, the social media is consistent, and everything would be smoother there. That's a great thing to bring up, Trent, because you have to make it as easy as possible. Now people have this short-term thing with the reels and things you're talking about. If you don't give it to them quick, they may breeze right on.
Yeah, I think the other thing, you bring up a good point. Making a short, Left for Dead, making a short, quick title that's very memorable is important. I think that's probably one of the, and it was probably dumb luck, right, Vince? But I love the quote, from the book, winners when shown data that they're losing, find a way to win. I saw that in the 4 disciplines of execution, and I was like, man, that's who I want to spend time with. That's who I spend my whole life around with, is those overcomers, solution-minded people who won't quit, never say no, going to figure it out. And man, when people ask me oh, what's the name of your podcast? I'm like, oh, it's Winners Find a Way. They go, oh man, that's a pretty cool title, right? It's not short. I'd like it to be shorter, quite honestly, right?
Yeah.
But
I love it.
But people love it, and it's memorable, right? So it's not too hard to search and find. It's not like, oh, I got to get my notepad out. What was the name of that show? And so Left for Dead, it's memorable. People know it. They're like, oh man. And then it's very easy to connect your story with the production team and the whole Inc. company. And this is an overhead that they have, that kind of sits over the umbrella over everything. And so it's I think that's really important, because if you come up with a podcast that says new football, I don't know if people are gonna attract to that. I don't know if you're country music. Well, yeah, it says it. We're gonna talk country music, I guess. But having something kind of unique and deal with that. I'll tell you I'll tell you, between you and I, Vince, and 100,000 other people. I love the cannabis industry's marketing. I'm not a cannabis user. but I watch these billboards and everything else. I make very clever marketing, right? And if you're going to be in the game, think about how you got sticky. And I love the idea that once you find that, get prepped and owning that domain. And Vince and I have both run into this. He mentioned this earlier. I want to start a podcast. It's already taken. Someone started a podcast that says that with like 3 episodes or something, right? So you can't get it now. So like you got to go out there and create something else and do something different.
I want to piggyback and give an example. So we're talking, if you've got the book, you see the evolution of That Entrepreneur Show. When I started the show, when Trent first came on, it was actually called What It's Really Like to Be an Entrepreneur. It's clear. It says what the show is, but that's long. It's too long for handles. It's just too wordy on the logo. Winners find a way. Boom, clean. So that went to That Entrepreneur Show. Boom. A mental health break with Vincent Lanci. I realized I don't need my name on there. That's all right. A mental health break. Boom. Writing with authors. Boom. Pot o'clock. Nice and quick. But remember, Winners Find a Way is the place to be. Don't worry about mine. Keep showing up to Trent's. Keep supporting all the great work he does. He's been a great friend since I met him. And all of his shows continue to grow and grow. And now his book is kicking butt. So you shouted my book out. Make sure you pick up his book over there. Make sure you go online, grab a copy for the holidays.
Yeah, it makes a good gift. In fact, that's a great point. Right now, we are offering, if you buy the book right now, you email me a receipt at trent@leadershipity.com. We are giving away 10 free coaching sessions for 10 individuals to get your 2025 right. I am willing to sit down with you, go through your program, talk about your 2025, all just because you bought a copy of my book, whether it's a gift for somebody at Christmas. Do it. Let's get 2025 right. Vince, let's end with, the beginning, right? I want to start a podcast. Someone today, tell the 3 things that you've got to do right now. If someone says, I've got an idea from your first show, what's the 3 main things they just have to do?
Oh, I love it. So before you're getting into your logo, before you're getting into any of the fun stuff, you first have to, not with my book, you can use my book, use a piece of paper, write down 3 areas you're really passionate about and are an expert in. Go on your favorite podcast app, type in those words, see what's out there, see what's going on. Then break it down to 2. Of those 2, which area are you going to add the most value to people that you also enjoy? If I hate soccer, I'm not going to start a soccer podcast, right? If I'm not a mechanic, I'm probably not going to start a podcast on fixing cars. Don't confuse your audience, because if it confuses you, you'll confuse them. So the first step is figure out what your niche is going to be, right? Because that's going to lead to the target listeners. You make your listener persona, all of those areas. Now you know what you want to talk about. Now, how are you going to do it? Are you going to do it virtually, like we're doing right now? Zoom, Riverside, StreamYard, or you have a cool studio. Maybe you're a little advanced. You got an in-person studio. Because then from there, it's not just how you do it, what's going to enable you to do it. I have a Rodecaster Pro to record on, and then we bring that as a mobile studio. If you're listening on in Tampa area, you want to start a show, don't want to buy anything, we buy all of our clients a headset and a mic. If you have the capabilities on your computer to ensure quality, we come to you with the Rodecaster, where it's a different mic and everything, because ensure that quality control. Do you have crazy noise places? Like I used to live in a crazy noisy apartment building. You need the headset. You need all these things. So first, what are you going to do? What are you going to talk about? How are you going to do it? And then what's going to enable you to do it? And then find another resource. If you're not sold today, there's no hard feelings, but find something to give you steps and processes, because once you develop your systems, like he mentioned with feeding ChatGPT, training it takes 3 minutes compared to 30. You'll have your system in place. You network to get the guests. You prep yourself and the guests. You record, you edit, you upload, you follow up, you market, then you rinse and repeat. Those are my 8 steps in my system.
I love it, man. I love it. That is so good, everybody. For everybody, thank you for joining us on the Winners Find a Way show. Every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Next week, another all-star episode day after Christmas, right? So that's going to be awesome. I got Mitch Lyons, former NFLer, on, and he is an excellent wealth manager. We're talking all things money. We're talking all things about efficiency and production. He's an expert. He's also making big waves because, you know, he's got the Monday show about the Lions, right? The Lion on the Lions, right? And so, you know, our Lions are pretty excited for it. You know, we're honest. You know, it's been a long time, Vince. We've had a winner, right? So like we're pretty excited.
I root for him because I'm a Jets fan. I have the same pain that guy's dealt with his whole life, really rooting for the Lions. So, well, they had Barry Sanders and they had some real good players too. But you know, now at the Jets, we all know what's happening with my Jets. I'm still loyal, still watching every Sunday. We'll continue to call out any Jet fan who's already hung it up for the season. I don't want to see you wearing the jersey when we start winning some games. It might not be in my lifetime, but we're going to win eventually.
It's going to be in your lifetime, brother. Like, listen, they've hit a little bump in the road. They're going to be all right. I mean, it's never been a better time to be a Lions fan, so we're excited. Can't wait to have Mitch Lyons on, and it's going to be super fun. For everybody else, get out there. Please purchase Winning Team. Send me the receipt. Be entered for a coaching opportunity to get your 2025 set off at Trent@leadershipity.com. Get out and buy Vincent Lanci's new book. I show your book. I want to start a podcast.
I'll double down on you. You buy the book, send me an email with it. You can have a podcast strategy session with me. Not even my team members. I'll do it with you personally.
Yeah.
I do ask you take a picture with it always because I love to share support of people supporting me, and you deserve to be recognized.
Love it. Your email. How do they info at
VincentALanci.com. VincentALanci.com is the website. I'm on all social there. Feel free to follow me, message me. You heard me on Trent's show. Follow you right back. And then the company, if you like what I said today, I've got a bunch of free resources on comingalivepodcastproduction.com on the top. And this is the new Go High Level site. We just switched over only a couple of days ago. The courses will be up there again soon. Remember, we had not I want to start a podcast, but how to start a podcast. The course, we've got one to becoming a certified podcast host. Every month, there will be a new course for the entire 2025. I want that Coming Alive Podcast University to be helping everyone who prefers to sit at home or at work and do it all on their own. I want to play a very small part in helping you get your podcast bigger than Trent's and bigger than mine, because if you can believe in yourself, trust me, anything's possible.
There you go. There it is. Boom. I will look at that. I am going to buy the book. I might even send the email and just do another session, man. Let us stress us. We can always learn and get better. So email him at info@VincentALanci.com. And you will get a chance to get a strategy session on a podcast. Listen, I cannot tell you the value of that when we were starting out, how much we mucked it up. Tons of stuff, learning so much trial and error, mostly error.
I get it.
So, yeah, right. And so get out there and take advantage of these resources. This has been a show of way value. Ethan King's AI stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff out there. The Oak Journal. This has been a great show, man. Incredible. Vincent, Merry Christmas to you and everybody. Have a fabulous holiday season. Can't wait to see you next time. And thank you for joining us on Winners Find a Way.